Welcome back to another episode of STEM in Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales, and I am here today with Bryce Batts. And we are going to discuss landing your next A player, unleashing the power of workplace benefits. So, just for a little background here, Bryce is a dynamic business consultant, speaker, and certified career coach. She's the co-founder of Career Collective, bringing 15 years of experience as a recruiter in the AEC industry, which is architecture, engineering, and construction, correct?
That is right.
With a fierce commitment to empowering women, Bryce helps organizations overcome barriers by hiring. Bryce helps organizations overcome barriers to hiring by developing innovative talent acquisition strategies. Her expertise enables companies to attract and retain diverse talent, fostering a more inclusive workplace. Having successfully placed over 800 professionals in rewarding positions, she's a catalyst for change in the industry. In addition to her consulting work, Bryce is the podcast host of Wine After Work, where she combines insightful discussions with a touch of humor, creating space for candid conversations on career and life. A devoted wife, sister, and mother of 2 daughters, she is passionate about raising the next generation of strong women to shatter barriers and live audaciously. Bryce's mission is not just about business success, it's about fostering a community of support and empowerment everywhere for women, or a community of support and empowerment for women everywhere. Welcome, Bryce. I'm happy to have you on the show with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this topic because I know it can be really challenging to entrepreneurs, founders who are getting going, to find the right people in the right seats. And a lot of times I think we fall into this trap of, I need a body and hands right here doing the thing right now. And we tend to hire conveniently, not strategically.
That is true. A lot of times you just need a warm body.
Exactly. And a lot of times you need more than a warm body. And that usually becomes apparent after you've got a bunch of C and B players in place and it's just not running the way you want it to be running. So let's talk a little bit about hiring and finding the right people for the right places, and how do benefits play into all this?
Oh, yeah. Loaded question. Hiring and finding the right person. I
Let's
know. I
go
had
right to the heart of the matter. We
Let's
don't
do
mess
it.
around over here.
I was talking to a client just an hour or so ago, and I said, he told me all about the company, the job description they're trying to fill. And I said, how is the recruiting coming so far? And he said, it's horrible. I hate it. AEC is such a tight job market. There's so few candidates who are qualified for the roles that are open. So you will find that most candidates end up getting multiple interviews, potentially multiple offers. They'll also get a counter offer from their current company. So they have lots of choices. It's a candidate driven market right now. So employers really have to put their best foot forward. And that starts before the interview ever does. That starts with your social media, it starts with your LinkedIn presence, your website, your Glassdoor and Indeed.com reviews. Candidates are looking at those things before they go on an interview and then even after interviewing when they've got multiple offers. And of
And I
course,
love that you mentioned all that. I was just talking with a branding lady a few episodes ago, and she's like, branding isn't just your business cards, it's all of the doors into your company.
it's
And
so
this
true.
this is an important door, especially if you're looking to land an A player and somebody who's really going to move your business forward.
Yeah, and we were interviewing someone once and we post a lot of things on LinkedIn and we're really big on culture and they said, I looked at your LinkedIn and I saw the photos you have there, and it looks like the people were genuinely smiling and looked happy. And I thought
Yes.
that's so interesting that not only are we posting pictures, just candid photos from events we have, we do a Fun Friday every month, but they were really dissecting the photo to see if the person looked happy or if it was just a staged, everyone
Yeah.
smile.
Stand over there and look happy for us. Yeah.
That's right. And I'm on calls with LinkedIn a lot. So I see the statistics there and the statistics of Glassdoor and Indeed and how many candidates or potential employees are looking on those websites for reviews and how that can really be the nail in the coffin for a company. And then you mentioned benefits. Benefits are so important no matter the size of the firm, but I will say even more so for those small to mid-sized firms who maybe can't compete on a fully remote opportunity or have the highest salary. What they can do is offer great benefits. And some of those benefits don't have to cost the company a ton of money. It could be a gym membership, it could be flexible hours, it could be a hybrid schedule, unlimited PTO, some of those perks that maybe will help you compete with a larger firm for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Parking passes.
Yes, free parking is always great.
So, what first got you interested in the topic of workplace benefits?
I think I've been in AEC recruiting for, gosh, over 15 years, and I just see the market continues to be tight and the battle for great employees. And that's when I think where I think benefits really come in. So I would say over the last few years, it's been on my mind even more.
So, how do the benefits impact employees? Why do benefits make a difference over straight up salary a lot of times?
Yeah, salary is important. I say money always talks. People want the best salary possible. But I have seen incredible women, especially, step away from roles they loved because the benefits didn't support them as a whole person. And I feel like the place we're at in our life now, post COVID, people want flexibility. People need to be able to step away to parents or take care of their children. We're in that sandwich generation. So it really gets people to stick around for the long term. Not just
Indeed.
salary's great, but if you can never take a vacation or if you're working 80 hours a week, your health is going to decline and then you're going to have other issues and be missing more
Exactly.
work.
You mentioned the conversation with the client earlier and asking him how it was going, and he was saying that recruiting really sucks. I think that's not an uncommon sentiment. What are some things we can do to make the recruiting process a little less sucky?
Hmm. Well, they say always be closing, ABC. I think it's always be recruiting, always be having those conversations, be networking, have people in your pipeline at all times. And I know that's tough, but I think if you're always having those conversations and conversations may take a year, you're not necessarily hiring as the employer right now. Things are okay. You've talked to this person who you know would be a great fit, but they're wrapping up some projects. They're not quite ready to make a move yet. So you keep bumping into each other at industry events. You keep the door open. You ping them every month or so. And then eventually, and I've heard a lot of these stories, 6 months later, a year later, it works out. And then the timing's right. It's so much like dating in that the timing has to be right. Both parties have to want it, and the timing has to work. It's
Yeah. How do you maintain those longer term connections prior to that employer employee engagement? What are some of the strategies you've seen people use?
Yeah, I think you have to be intentional. So reaching out to people on LinkedIn, if that's where they hang out and you like to hang out there, then just sending them an email or a direct message every month or so. But if your AEC is a small knit industry, so for Raleigh, for instance, where I am, I know that I would potentially see them at an industry event or I can invite them. Hey, I'm going to be at such and such. Would you like to come? And if that doesn't work, then I think just getting together for coffee or lunch occasionally is really great. I
Yeah.
met someone recently, and since I met him, he has introduced me to two other people in our industry. We made an offer to one of the women that he introduced me to. So, web of networking, constantly meeting new people and seeing how we can help each other.
Yeah, I like that. There's always, what do I want to say? The incoming message is always welcome when it comes with a little something, whether it's something uplifting, a little tidbit you can use in your career or an upcoming event they might be interested in. It makes that contact useful and not
Mm,
annoying, right?
right, exactly. And you're offering something, you're not coming to them and just asking them for something. It's like, "How
Yeah,
can I
yeah,
help you?"
exactly. I like that. So I know you've been in the architecture, engineering, construction, and consulting world for a while. And I think a lot of what happens in that world is actually applicable to broader industries. So, share with us, how do benefits shape a company's ability to attract and retain talent,
Yeah.
especially in things like STEM, where it's highly specialized? You've got a very discrete pool of people who actually fit the bill.
Mhm. I think a strong package can be the difference between hiring top performers or watching them join a competitor. It could really be a make or break situation. And retention skyrockets when employees feel supported, not just professionally, but personally. So I think that's when the benefits really come into play. And we talked about women and how great benefits to make it work because let's be honest, most women are still doing most of the caretaking at home. Even if you have a great spouse, it seems like a lot
Yeah,
of it still
I'm
falls
still
on the
the
woman.
backstop. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
exactly.
So I think women in STEM often navigate really unique challenges, being underrepresented in leadership, balancing caregiving responsibilities, facing inflexible work environments. So those benefits like paid paternal leave, mentorship programs, flex schedules, wellness support, they directly remove barriers and create pathways for women to thrive and stay. And
Yeah,
I do see that. And then you have a hard time recruiting those women away and men.
absolutely. Once they've got that work situation that fits their life, it's something you're hesitant to give up.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, talking to an employer who's going out to do a search or something like this, what do you suggest that they have available in their benefits package? Or do we need to be completely clear on what it's going to be, or can we kind of tailor it to the candidate we eventually decide we're targeting?
I think it depends on the employer. I see it run the gamut of employers who say, we have a hybrid schedule. It's 2 days out, 3 days in. We have flexible work hours. You can work 7 to 4, 8 to 5, 9 to 6. So there's flexibility, but it's very structured. And then I have other employers who will say, oh, well, we can be flexible. The drawback to that, in my opinion, is when you have a candidate who wants something in writing or they want it formalized, they're looking for more formality than just, oh, we can be flexible. What does that mean? Does that mean I
Yeah,
can work from home for weeks or months? Does that mean I can come in at 10? I think it's great to be flexible, but you need to have some parameters around it and then it can work really well. I also find it's difficult if you have everyone in the office and then you're telling one person, a new hire, that you'll be flexible for them. Well, that's going to create some issues.
yeah, exactly. Because there's someone in the cube next to them going, but I need to leave at 3 to get my kids from school. Yeah.
Right. Yep. And I'm seeing a lot of wellness stipends and wellness support, which I think is really incredible. A landscape architecture firm I work with, I know they offered a wellness bonus. And this year they said if you go get all of your doctor's appointments out of the way and get all of your testing done and all of that, then you get $3,000 to spend on a vacation or a hotel. So that was pretty cool. I know in the past that same company has given a set amount each year, and you could use it towards any sort of sports equipment, workout clothes, gym membership, any of that. So I think just thinking outside of the box a bit more, a gym membership is great, but that's going beyond just a gym membership.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and not everyone has a gym that's conveniently located to where they are.
Right.
I know I've run into that in recent years. We had one house, it was just around the corner, and then we had another house where you had to drive like 30 minutes to, no, that's, I'm sorry. That is not happening in my world.
No, not many people's, I think. Yeah, and during COVID, we all got so used to working out at home. So I think to be able to say, oh, well, you can use it on an app or you can
Yeah.
use it on gym equipment to use at your house. I feel like everybody had a Peloton for a while. Not
Yeah.
me, but a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. And it's one of those things that you've got prescribed flexibility, if you will, right? It's around the area of wellness, and here are the boundaries around that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it matches both the formality and the flexibility together. And I think
Mhm.
that's valuable, especially when you're looking to keep everybody happy across the team.
That's right.
So we are up on our first break already. And I usually give a little bit of homework over the break. What would you suggest as our thought exercise for the next couple of minutes over the break?
Oh,
Oh,
what
yes.
exercise? This is pertaining to the questions we've already been.
The stuff we've already discussed to this point. Yeah.
I would say, what is one area that your company could improve upon, whether it's benefits, social media, your reviews online? Dig
Mhm.
into some of those things and see where you can make an improvement.
I like that. So spend a few minutes around how you're situated in those areas. Give yourself a 1 if it's kind of weak and a 5 if it's amazing, and hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, shout aloud, the wolf here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. Oh, no fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales, and I am back with the amazing and wonderful Bryce Batts. And before the break, she had given us an assignment to look at our interface, our recruiting profile, if you will, and give ourselves a 1 or a 1 to 5, 5 being amazing, 1 needing some work, around how we're presenting to our job candidates out there, what our reviews like, what kind of a benefits package do we have right now, where are some places where we might be able to shore up our attractiveness as an employer. So in the line of that thought, what are some of the more overlooked benefits that can make a big difference when you offer it to a prospective employee?
Mm. We've touched on this a bit, but flexible work options, whether it's remote or hybrid work, can really be life changing. I don't see a lot of employees offering remote work across the board in AEC because it is so collaborative, but I do see a lot of hybrid work, and I think that really makes a big difference. I also think professional development stipends, investing in certification, conferences keeps employees engaged and growing. And if they're asking for training and workshops, you want to make sure they're getting that cup filled up. Some of them are free, some of them are low cost. And then, of course, some of them are a lot more expensive, but may make a really big impact for your business and for your employees. So I think that's important. Now you see a lot of times they're paying for their licensure or helping pay for their licensure. If they pass the exam, they'll pay for it. So that could be for architects or engineers going for their EIT or their professional engineering license, which is great. And then mental health support, which we touched on as well, but counseling services or wellness stipends, I think it shows employees that their well being matters. And then I think checking in on your employees and being willing to offer some sort of survey at mid-year, maybe end of year, to see if they are getting what they need from
Mm,
you as their employer. Yeah,
yeah, I can definitely
everyone's
see
going to
that.
go through a difficult time at some point and need some extra help.
Yeah, and a lot of times what sounds great on paper, you turn out not using it for a variety of reasons, or it didn't turn out to be what you thought it was going to be, right? So I think it's good, the survey and getting the feedback to understand if it's landing the way you need it to land in order to retain the really good people.
Exactly.
So if you're a smaller company, I know a lot of us are counting our pennies very closely. And sometimes benefits can seem to be quite expensive. And so I guess my first question is, what's the ROI really on a good benefits package? What is it costing us when we choose poor people or we lose great people and are in the market to have to replace them?
Mm. Yeah, recruiting is so expensive. So if your benefits aren't what they need to be, and maybe they don't know that until they go to the doctor the first year or go to the dentist, and then they're paying so much money out of pocket and they reflect back on that. We all know the cost of losing someone or hiring someone is more expensive than keeping them and nurturing them over the years. I wish I had an exact data point for you for the ROI on benefits. I don't. But what I can tell you is that they are important and they help employees stick around long term.
Yeah,
And
I
so
know
to
when,
assess that each year, I think is really important.
yeah, when I was in corporate, which is like a few decades ago, it was like 45%
Mm,
of the salary of the position is what it would cost you in turnover.
wow.
And so that's a significant chunk of change. So when you think about, okay, well, I could offer this $2,000 thing that would help to keep them engaged, it's actually a pretty sweet return on investment
It,
to hold them in place.
yeah, for sure.
So, what are some creative things that a company can do with limited budget? You mentioned the flex time. I think that one's a very simple and relatively inexpensive thing to do. What else is on that list?
I think unlimited PTO. It can be at manager's discretion, but I think that's really appealing, especially for younger generations to say, hey, we've got this PTO policy in place. You can take as much as you want. That's something we offer, and our employees love it. Of course, if they're not performing, then it's a conversation. But if they're performing, most jobs you can do from a laptop, at least while on vacation, or you can check in. So it gives you the flexibility to do that. So I'm big on PTO because I just think 2 to 3 weeks is not enough time.
Yeah, I can feel you on that one. Uh, What kinds of things do employers put in place as a hedge against abuse of that sort of a policy?
I think just tracking it to make sure they're not 3 months in and they've taken 1 month off, unless there's some extenuating circumstance as to why someone's sick, something's happening, and just tracking it and having those conversations. If you do one on ones weekly or every other week, you're probably touching on that. And quarterly reviews, it's something you're reviewing. So I think just tracking it, you can make sure it's still working for everyone and no one's abusing it. I've also heard of firms that offer a leave of absence. After 10 years of service, you can take a month off or even longer. So I think that's a pretty cool perk as well, because how often do you get to take off, say, a month or
A
two?
solid month, exactly.
Yeah. How nice would that be?
Indeed, indeed. So let's see, what was the other question? Oh, yeah, okay. So say we're not on a budget. Okay, and we're thinking about revamping what we're offering in terms of benefits to improve our recruiting position. What should I be thinking about when I'm designing or updating that benefits package?
Mm. Well, I think parental leave and flexibility is really important. And that's mom and dad, same sex couples, having that parental leave in place is really great. Health and mental health support, also great. Of course, the better your health and dental and vision, that's always helpful, especially if you have employees who need to go to the doctor more, knowing that it's not going to be a huge detriment to their pocketbook. Those professional development opportunities, because so many want to know that there's career growth where they're going. They want to know they're going to be able to move up within the company and have that plan laid out. And then we haven't talked about company culture a whole lot, but I think company culture around using the benefits. Like, do people actually take time off? Those clues will tell
Yes.
you how supported you'll feel day to day in a position. And so I think culture is really important. And just to go back to your last question, since we are talking about culture, we do a fun Friday once a month. That does not cost us a lot of money. We leave early on a Friday. We do something fun as a company. Both offices do that. And it really feeds into the type of culture we want to have. We let loose, we have fun, and it doesn't cost a lot. So those are things that small companies can do. You can think outside the box.
Yeah, you could have a Friday barbecue. It's not going to cost you a ton of money, but everyone will enjoy bringing a potato salad and getting their hamburger or their hot dog or whatever you're throwing on the grill
That's right.
included.
And if we're talking about food, having snacks and drinks in the office too is super helpful.
True. And that's not a terribly expensive thing to do.
No, place an order on Amazon, shows up a couple days later.
And there you are.
Easy peasy.
Exactly. So, how does a strong benefits package support not just recruitment, but retention and overall employee well-being?
Mm. Yeah, I think when you have great benefits and you have a good culture, that a culture that offers career growth, there's really no reason for people to look elsewhere. So if they're making the money they need to make, they've got the benefits in place that they want, they know they're able to grow and that you'll help them do that, then they're going to stick around unless they have a bad manager or something like that, or they're moving out of the state. But most of the time, if you can check those boxes like good salary, benefits, culture, and career growth, people will stay long term.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And I think there is something to be said for keeping an eye on where and why people are leaking out of the organization, right?
Hmm.
Because that can give you some insight into where your culture isn't what you thought it was, for example, or maybe you've got, what do I want to say? You've got a manager who looks amazing to the people above them, but not to the people below them.
Right. And that's why I think if you can have that culture of the open door policy where people really feel like they can talk to you, that's so important. So you can do all the surveys you want, but like they can't be truthful in those, even if they are anonymous, then there's a problem.
Yeah, that is a real problem. How do you foster that kind of open door policy? Because it's one thing to say, my door is always open, poke your head in whenever you want. And then the reality of people see you walk down the hall to the owner's office.
Right. That's such a great question. And I think it starts with leadership. And it's if leadership is willing to be with the employees and to invest in them. And I know that's easier said than done with a small company because with 18, 20, 25 people, it's easy to be with everyone. But instead of sitting in an office that's closed off, you see a lot of workspaces now with an open office policy where everybody's out on the floor together or the office all glass so you can see in. So I think taking down those physical barriers can really help take down those perceived mental barriers too. I can't go to the boss's office. This is weird. They'll wonder what I'm here for. Everyone will see me walking down the hall. I think
Exactly.
all of that has changed so much, thankfully. I know for us, we do fun Fridays with our team. We have a president's club that they year and we try to go with them to just have that fun with them. And I think when people get to know you, it takes those walls down too.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of times I found when I was networking up, the best places I could do that were in the more informal environments. So the
Hmm.
smoking deck or the lunch line or something like that. And so I
That's
think it
right.
is important to be available in the areas of the company where your employees are.
100%. I totally agree.
All right, so we are up on our second break already. And I think what I'd like to invite you to do is to grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and spend a little time thinking about what you offer currently in terms of benefits and maybe where you've heard some new thoughts or ideas here, or maybe ideas that have crossed your mind and you rejected them previously. Put them all on a little piece of paper and maybe take a second look at those and see if the assumptions you have about them are in fact accurate. Get a little curious and hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, shout aloud, the world here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us at the break. This is Zofia Morales, and I am back with the amazing and wonderful Bryce Batts. And I asked you to kind of take an accounting of what your benefits package looks like Are there holes? Are there things you might consider putting in there? And so one of the things I know that we've talked about that has been a little contentious post-COVID is the whole return to work push. And how do you balance remote work with in office? How does the hybrid thing work? What are some structures employers have put around that to make it work for them, especially in an industry where sometimes you really do need to show up?
Yeah, AEC is so collaborative as a lot of STEM. And so I think first off, figuring out what your definition of remote work is, because I have found in talking to people that a lot of times that can differ. So remote work to me can be fully remote, working from home or anywhere, or it may be you're fully remote with some occasional travel into the office or the job site. And then hybrid work to me really is you've got those anchor days in the office and then a mix of you can be remote or on a job site, but really you've got anchor days and then days that are which is really nice.
Okay, so an anchor day would be like every Monday, everybody starts in the office, we level set on what's happening for the week and that collaborative stuff. And then maybe Tuesday or Wednesday are some remote or flex days. And then you might have an anchor day towards the end of the week as well
Exactly.
that allows for that face-to-face interaction. I would imagine that kind of thing works best if the anchor days are shared.
Yeah. Like for us, hours are Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We're fully in office. Wednesdays and Fridays are hybrid. So you can come in if you want. You can come in half a day. You can be remote all day, those 2 days, totally up to you.
Okay. I know there are concerns from some employers about how do I know there's actual work getting done on those remote days? How have you seen employers approach that in the architecture, engineering, and construction?
Yeah, some companies have performance metrics that you have to meet or performance guardrails, I would say, so they know if things aren't getting done. We've also seen memes and jokes, I'm sure everyone has around like the mouse jiggler or things like that. So they think
Yes.
you're working. But I think long term, that won't get you anywhere. For us, we are KPI driven. So you have to have so many calls and interviews and submittals in a week. So if you had a week where you did nothing, or we can see what you're doing while you're at home as well. Honestly, we don't pull those reports that often, but if there is an issue, then we start
Then
doing
you
that.
will,
And
yeah.
exactly. And then you can see, oh, on Wednesdays, when they work from home, their productivity is down 40%. Clearly, this is a problem, and this person would do better in office.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And typically, do you see that there are formal policies around that?
Sometimes it's not all the time. And I think a lot of AEC firms will say we're very flexible, but I think if there's a deadline, a project going out, something that has to get done and it requires you to be in the office, then that's where you need to be.
Right.
I will say I read it from Deloitte that said women in the workplace found that 47% of women in STEM said flexibility was a top reason to stay in a job. And 1 in 3 said they'd leave without it. So that tells you how
Wow.
important it is.
Exactly. So if
Yeah.
you want a good, strong woman in your office, in your team, the best thing you can offer her is flexibility to get her to
Yeah.
stay.
And we talked about anchor days. I do have clients, geographic boundaries too. They'll have remote employees, but require them to reside in a specific state for tax or legal reasons, or if they want them on the job site or want them to be able to meet with clients, they'll say, we need somebody in the Charlotte area, preferably, but we're open. They could be in South Carolina, North Carolina, something like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another boundary you can put around it. If you're primarily in the Northeast, a remote employee in California is not probably going to knit in as easily and as flawlessly as someone who's local.
Exactly. It's going to be tough if you have to get on a plane every time you need to meet with a
Exactly. Or
client.
at least local-ish.
Yeah. I think we saw a shift during COVID from work wherever, whenever, to companies setting more thoughtful boundaries like the anchor days or core hours because they found that culture and collaboration still matter.
Yeah. So talk to us about core hours. What specifically does that mean?
Yeah, so even if you're on a remote team, they may say, "Okay, well, you're remote or hybrid, but we have core hours." So those could be from 10 to 3, and 10 to 3 everyone is working. And you
Right.
get your 40 hours in, but you can decide you're working 6 to 3 or 10 to 7. It's kind of up to you, but during those core hours, we know you're available and working.
Right.
So if you need to be reached for something, you
Responsive.
can be.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And again, we're putting some boundaries around the flex time. It's not any flex time you want, but within these parameters.
Right.
Yeah, it's
To me, I think it's the perfect mix.
yeah, exactly. I think most of us could figure out something that
Right.
covers that span.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, excellent. Let's see what else do. Oh, yes, let's do this. Can you share an example where benefits directly impacted someone's decision to take a job or leave a role, for example?
I'm sure that I can. Let me think. Okay, yes. I'll give you an example. I worked with a brilliant engineer and she received 2 offers. The salary difference was really minimal, but one company offered fertility benefits and a really robust parental leave, and that sealed the deal for her, and she joined them. She's loving it so far. So that really tells you the power of thoughtful benefits. This particular woman, her and her husband were thinking about adoption in her 40s and going through all the options. So she was trying to figure out who would offer fertility benefits, or this particular company also offered, I don't know if it's called an adoption stipend, but basically money towards that
Oh,
if that's the
nice.
route they decided to go instead. And that, like I said, that sealed the deal for her. And she was really thrilled to accept the position with them.
Yeah, having been down both of those roads myself, I
Mhm.
can say they're very expensive, not to mention
Yeah.
emotionally trying. And so to
Yeah.
have that support from the employer, I think is a huge plus if you're facing
Totally
those
agree.
kinds of issues. Absolutely.
And I
I
was so
love
happy
that.
for her.
Oh, yes. Oh, my heavens.
I mean, to be able to start a family because your employer offers those things is it's so big.
Yeah, it's life altering.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about how could an employer interact with you if they wanted some advice or assistance in putting together an attractive presentation so they're recruiting better people and keeping them longer?
Yeah. I would love to sit down with them and really go through what they offer now, look at how they're showing up online. So let's look into how candidates are perceiving them. I would love to dissect their interview process and see what that's like for a candidate. Was it one interview and you're making an offer to me through a virtual meeting? Or is it 5 interviews with multiple people? Because then it's too long. And
Yeah.
I've got offers that I'm needing to make decisions on, and then go through what the offer might look like, how they're presenting the offer, and then from there, the onboarding process and the benefits that are being offered to get them to stay.
Yeah.
So it really starts with before they even put the job description out. And what I say is when you're working on that, oftentimes I'll talk to companies that don't even have a job description. Maybe I'm create that. And if it's a larger firm, maybe marketing and HR are working together. That's what should be happening. So all of those things that marketing is working on and pushing out are also landing in the job description, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah. Amen. I've
Yeah.
seen that. So, in the last couple of minutes here, what are your words of wisdom to somebody who's right now struggling? They've got a couple of positions open that they need filled. They're not even sure they have the right job descriptions. What is your words of wisdom to them to cut through the noise and get them to a productive end result?
Mm. Yeah, I would say benefits aren't just perks. They're proof of how much a company values you as a whole person. And this doesn't have to be so hard. So I would love to have a conversation with them, help them do an audit of what they're offering and how they're showing up as a company and as a brand online. But I think just starting with reviewing what you're offering, and I don't know about you, but I think sometimes that can even be tough. It's like, when do the benefits start? What is the matching policy?
Yeah.
When are they vested? You forget those things, especially if you're a founder who's also running the company and doesn't have a dedicated HR. I know how much you're doing, so I'd say I'd love to work on it with you. But if not, lay out all those things and then do some research. Use ChatGPT and have it help you pull comparisons on what you're offering versus what other companies are offering. And
Yeah,
then look at some of
exactly.
those job descriptions and see how yours could be better and more authentic.
Exactly. And sometimes there are moments to be more creative when you're not like big enough to have your own HR kind of situation. There
100%.
are ways you can go through like employee leasing companies and that kind of stuff. They get you
Right.
big company benefits without being a big company yet.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, I love that. And I guess what I will say is check the show notes. We're going to have all the links down there so that you can get in touch with Bryce and have one of those conversations, because a lot of times just talking it through and gaining some clarity will give you the headspace to move forward in a way that is more constructive than destructive.
It's so true. Sometimes just talking it out, sorting things out in your mind and on
Makes
paper
a
are
huge
very helpful.
difference. Thank you for coming and sharing all of these insights with us today, Bryce. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I love talking benefits and company culture, so this was a lot of fun.
Excellent. And for those of you who've invested your time with us here today, I salute you for improving your own self as you're improving your company and the world for your employees. And I would love to hear from you. Drop me a quick line, Zofia, Zofia, at STEMinstilettos.com. And let me know how you like the show, what you didn't like about the show, what you'd like to see me talk about next, who you'd like to see me talk to, and just share whatever else is on your heart and hang with us. We will be back next week. And until then, go out, be bold, be beautiful, and be authentically you.